Hello, is that you?
There, I think I got it. So, Tony.
Yes, sir.
I know you're a guy that keeps track of everything. As the editor of Model Railroad News, a guy with his finger on the pulse of the nation. Yeah, you know what I found out the other day that you never told me?
What would that be?
I found it very unsettling. I thought,
yeah?
Why wouldn't Tony have told me about this before? Why is he hiding this from?
Well, now this wouldn't be hiding some news about a new company, because I know I told you this.
Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah.
But we're talking away, and I said, we're talking, and we were excited because you've tracked down one of the stars of Supertrain.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And then I talked about one of my favorite shows, Fox and Friends, that lasted 2 seasons.
That wasn't Fox and Friends is the Fox
Crazy
News.
Like a Fox. Yeah. Fox and Friends.
That's a much, those are two far different. They're both foxes, but a much different breeds.
Yeah. Crazy Like a Fox was starred Jack Warden in 1995. I think it was 84 to 86.
Huh.
And, but anyways, chat, talk. And then you say, well, yeah, you can see it on my website, my Supertrain website. And
I know we've talked about this.
No,
and I know
we haven't.
I think I've posted links before on the Fans of a Modeler's Life. Everyone knows that my 2 favorite TV shows of all time are Supertrain and BJ and the Bear. And so I'm sure I've posted. In fact, the real question here is, why do I not have a BJ and the Bear website done yet?
Well, and which it brings up another sore point. Somebody posted the other day about the BJ and the Bear truck.
Yes. Patrick Loveley posted, hey, did I see this?
Yeah, and I thought, oh, great, I'm going to buy one of these for Tony.
Well, I hate to tell you, but I already have confirmation.
I know, and
it's on its way. I mean, what do you think I'm going to do? What do you think I'm going to do when someone says there's a 143rd red and white Kenworth with trailer that says Billy Joe McKay Trucking, Milwaukee, Wisconsin? Do you not assume? I mean, the credit card basically flies out of my wallet into my hand as I'm typing. It knows, hey, here's a BJ and the Bear collectible I must own.
I guess I'm down. I've reduced to now. All we can do now is just I'll buy you some lame AML mugs. Because I certainly can't get you the BJ and the Bear truck. So, yeah, so I learned that you have there's no way you would have told me, because I'm looking at this site and I'm looking at it's got the episodes listed. It's got all kinds of stuff. You got an interview with Fred Silverman. I know that you never told me about this website ever before.
I can't believe that. I can't believe I never talked about that.
Yeah, I was what's the kerflunked?
Kerflunked?
Yeah, I was kerflunked.
Gobsmacked.
I was gobsmacked.
And what does that mean? You know, I was thinking of some of these things, like when you hear like gobsmacked or malarkey is a great one that we've heard recently. And I don't know what that, when you really stop and think about it. Like, that's a bunch of malarkey. Well, can you really show me? Go get me a can or box of malarkey so I have something to compare it to. So I really know when you say that. But yeah, I mean, you think about some of these things. Where do they come from?
What are you telling me that you already told me about the Supertrain website? What do you think I think of that is?
A bunch of malarkey.
A bunch of malarkey. Yeah.
See, I guess I do have a good colloquial understanding of it, then, I suppose, regardless. But now, this is bigger than Supertrain. Well, okay. This is almost as good as Supertrain being on DVD. I have found for you tonight to interview. You're always talking about how this hobby is just exploding, how everybody with social media is working together, and, the hobby's just taken off. And I don't know if you noticed, because I know sometimes you come in the studio door, but did you happen to walk through the green room, and did you see the fellow sitting in there?
I saw the guy sitting in there, and I'm thinking, who invited him over here? I didn't know. I didn't even know I was scheduled to be doing a show.
Well, I did. I talked with him a bit Sunday, and I said, you know what? This is really interesting, and he's already getting attention on Facebook here in the U.S. for a project that he's got going. this is a guy that is involved in starting up what looks like a new hobby company, and he already showed me some samples of some models. I mean, I hope he doesn't eat too many of those shrimp in there in the green room, because I don't know how fresh they are, and I certainly don't want the guy to get sick, because he's got a lot of work here to do if he's going to get these things done. But I think you're really going to be impressed here with how this all came together when you meet this gentleman.
Well, exactly. And I mean, if there's other modelers, you don't want the other, you don't want this guy to fall by the wayside. So we've brought him on to the number one model railroading podcast, just maybe one of the number one podcasts going. And, because you're as fit as a fiddle and I'm fit to be tied.
That for those that don't know, we've been texting back and forth cliches all day. And are they, I got to wondering that too on cliches. Like, are they all, like you lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink or whatever. Are all of those cliches or some of those sayings? Here again, I'd almost have to start looking that up. What is a, old saying versus a cliche?
Well,
I think, yeah. So I don't know, but that'll need some more. But yeah, so pardon us if we do, start talking in old sawhorses tonight. We don't mean to.
So I have no idea what this is about. So let's get young Mr. Wang in here and see, and you guys can start explaining to me what's happening, because this is going to be exciting for me, because I have absolutely no idea what we're going to talk about.
Well, then, without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Mr. Ben Wang, who is involved with Aurora Miniatures. Ben, hello. How are you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. I think Lionel's doing good. We're excited with this. Give us a little bit of background on you and the hobby. Where are you from? What's your hobby interest? That kind of thing.
Has Tony been bothering you? Like, are you happy to be here?
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Okay. So what is Aurora Miniatures?
Yeah, I will just introduce myself. My name is Ben Wang. I am the president and general manager of Aurora Miniatures North America. Aurora Miniatures is not a company that I founded, but it's a company that I later joined because they actually found me on social media. Because I have been a model railroad hobbyist for over 20 years. And lately I've been doing a lot of digital command control stuff. So this company that's making models in China, they found me and they're like, would you like to help us do consulting on HO scale locomotive electronics? And I agreed. This was back in 2018 and I had a really good time working with them. So about a few months later, in early 2019, during one of our routine meetings, I asked a question. Hey guys, I have this crazy idea. Let's make a Canadian HO scale locomotive. And a year later, here we are.
How about that? Now, what has you sent me some pictures, and we'll share those and put those out on the Fans of the Modeler's Life and Stuff website, and I'll share those with Lionel. But the company, I know when I first saw some of the posts, some of the naysayers, here we go. Well, but then you showed me Sunday, you've got some 40-foot HO scale intermodal containers that are done. And what Aurora is that the name they go by in China as well? Aurora Miniatures?
Yes. The name in China is also called Aurora Miniatures.
And the pictures you sent me this afternoon show some HO scale locomotives, Chinese prototypes, but
yes,
yeah, so this is not these guys don't know anything about making model trains. I've looked at the pictures and it's like, oh yeah, they do. Look at that.
So do you have is there a website for Aurora Miniatures?
Yes, our website is auroraminiatures.com.
And that's for North America, isn't it mostly? Or
that's pretty much the North American website. For the Chinese market, we do a lot of marketing in Chinese social media. So a traditional website is not really necessary. It's just the way marketing works in China compared to North America.
And see, now that really, and I know that, and I'm probably jumping in here, Lionel's probably about to say the same thing. Tell me about that, because both of us are very interested in all the different social media things. So the mere fact that you just said, yeah, we really don't have to have a website in China because it's done via social media as much, to me is like, wow, I can't imagine, say, Walters, Rapido, Athearn, somebody not having a website presence as well as Facebook, as well as YouTube. So paint that picture for us. What is that market like in China as far as compared to what we're used to here? Like if I want to find out about something, I go Google it. Where's their website? Oh, do they do videos? I'll click on their YouTube link. Kind of paint that for us. How does that work differently over there?
I believe the situation in China is people over there generally spend more time on their cellular device, so on their smartphones, more so than they do in front of their computer. So a lot of these apps are really big in China. So in China, we have this app called Baidu Tieba. It's basically like a forum. It's like a forum style application. And it's actually very similar to Reddit. I don't know if you guys have heard
of
Reddit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically you have these forums regarding a particular topic where you can share pretty much anything. You can share text, you can share photos, and you can share video. And that's really big. As far as hobbies go, you can find a subforum that's dedicated to the hobby that you are passionate about. And you can meet a lot of other people who are similar hobbyists who share a similar passion with you. And then you can actually, make a lot of friends. And that's how I got discovered, in a sense. So I ended up, before I was just a model railroad modeler, I was just a hobbyist, right? I do this for fun.
Right.
But with the power of social media, now I work in the industry.
Is that your only job, or is this a side job?
For the time being, this is still a side gig.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And
but we're hoping, I'm hoping at least, I'm hoping to grow this business and expand it to the point that I can do this full time. And I think that would be amazing, if possible.
Well, it would be amazing. I mean, I'm looking at the photo of these containers, and they're spectacular. So I'm completely confused. Tony, did you follow any of that?
I did. And it's different, I mean, and it's some of the stuff we've talked about of people kind of getting together on social media and just taking control of the hobby. This is interesting how I assume, Ben, you're saying that in your communications back and forth on these forums, someone with Aurora Miniatures reached out to you for, hey, can you help us on electronics? And now you've kind of turned that corner to, now you're in the U.S., is that right? Or are you in Canada?
I'm in Canada. I'm in Toronto, Ontario.
Well, how about that? Okay.
I know where Toronto is.
Do you?
Yeah. It's about 40 miles from where I am.
That's true. But I remember when we talked the other day, you said you were in the Eastern time zone, so I wasn't sure U.S. or Canada. So now that I see the Canadian prototype, is what is your hobby or what's your railroading interest?
Take a guess.
Basically contemporary Canadian stuff?
Yes, that is correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did you get in touch with these what do we call them? Chat groups in China? Like, how did you get in touch with, like, you're in Toronto. How did you get in touch with these folks in China?
It was by pure coincidence. I was just browsing the internet, and I went on the chat line, and then I searched for a group. The group name is called North American Model Train Enthusiasts. And believe it or not, there was a group there called North American Model Train Enthusiasts. And this group is full of mostly people who live in China who are into North American model trains, mostly in HO scale.
Wow.
How big do you think the hobby is in China?
The hobby in China is pretty big. It's grown steadily over the years. So let me explain a little bit about the hobby in China. The hobby in China didn't really exist until, I would say, 1999. Okay. 1999 was when the first Chinese prototype HO scale models really started appearing on the market.
Right.
So it's only been around for just over 20 years, but it has grew and expanded so much in the last 20 years compared to any other market around the world. I think that's just amazing.
Huh. Well, it is amazing for sure.
Wow.
And what was the name of the group, the chat group you said you were on? Like the major, like the Reddit part?
It's the app is actually QQ. So it's basically like
how do you spell that?
Skype. It's two letters, letter Q and letter Q.
Oh, okay.
It's basically a chat application.
Right.
but it has this group functionality, and then you can search specific groups that you want to join by key name. And all you have to do is you apply, and the moderator lets you in. Sometimes they may ask a question to make sure you are legitimate.
Right.
And that's it.
Okay, so I typed in QQ in my Google chat, and it comes up. It's a Chinese, obviously, but yeah, wow. So, and I'm a little confused. Ben, you'll have to be patient with me, because I love to find out all the answers to all the questions. So, how did you know of this QQ group?
Oh, I've used it from time to time to talk to my relatives.
Okay.
I still have relatives back home in China.
Okay.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I am 28 this year.
Holy mackerel. See that, Tony?
Yeah, he's about my age. What? Did I say something funny?
No. I'm telling you, this hobby's going to explode, because look at that. Ben is 28 and he's doing all this really cool stuff.
Oh, as I said, that when I first started exchanging a couple of emails, and then when we talked a little bit on Sunday, I thought, man, this is like exactly some of the stuff we talked about, of how this networking and doing all the stuff online just takes the hobby to a level like we've never seen before. And this is proof positive. This guy's the poster boy for that he did it,
So,
wow.
So how did you two guys find each other?
I don't know where you would have posted that, Ben. I saw the link we've been talking about all this, but I think we've yet to say what this Canadian prototype is. It's a GMD?
SD60F.
Draper Taper. And I saw a post for it, and it was like, oh my gosh, look at that. And I think Shane Mason, my assistant editor, saw it about the same time. And so he's texting me. This, I think, was Thursday or Friday last week, saying, look at that. Wow, working fans. That it's your drawing show rotating fans in the back for the radiator stuff, that there's a little mechanism to make the blades turn. And it's like, wow, yeah, isn't that awesome? I said, we got to find out more about this. But that's very intriguing. Yeah.
People are going to go nuts for this stuff. So I'm looking at the drawing. I mean, I looked at the photos of the containers, and they're spectacular. So are they available anywhere, Ben, those containers?
The containers, we originally developed the container as a load for a Chinese intermodal car.
Right.
So when you buy the intermodal car in China, hobbyists, they expect the car to come with a load instead of just being empty. So we actually made the container alongside with the car. And then this was around 2019. And then it was only sold as a bundle with the Chinese container flat car.
Right.
And our plan is we are going to develop, we already have the 40-foot container.
Yeah.
But we're going to rerun those and then release them for the North American market. And we also have a 45-foot ISO container, high cube, that's in development. And then we will probably announce that in the next few weeks.
Wow.
So it's Aurora. So I found them as auroraminiatures.com. So anybody who wants to find that website, go to auroraminiatures.com and it will come up. And then these containers. So I'm sorry, Ben, but
no worries.
Here's that age thing. There's somebody listening right now, and it's like, again, with the age thing. I get it. I'm a little slow, Ben, but my thing with the podcast is I want everybody to understand what's happening. I don't want people to be leaving the end of the show and going, I didn't understand that. So how did you get hooked up with Aurora Miniatures again? Like, how did you end up to this point where they're making these containers, you guys are going to release them in North America? They found you somehow.
Yeah, so do you recall that North American Model Train group that I was in?
Yes.
So the moderator of that group is one of the founding partners of Aurora Miniatures.
Okay.
Huh.
So he reached out to me. It's like, hey, Ben, you know so much about, model electronics. Join us.
Okay. So then, because you were on this group talking about model electronics and providing people with answers and stuff like that, that caught his attention. And then he reached out to you to ask you to join Aurora Miniatures.
Yes, that's pretty much the backstory. And this was in 2017. So.
Okay, so you've been with these guys for 3 years already.
Yeah, around that time, 2 to 3 years.
So Tony, where did you see this that made it pique your interest?
I think it was on Facebook on the one Canadian Model Railroaders group. Maybe someone shared there's a PDF, like 2 or 3 page PDF that has some of the computer aided drafting, the CAD drawings, the 3D drawings of the models. And, again, you see that and it's like, what? Who is this? What's going on?
Okay. Was that on Canadian Model Railroad? There's a Facebook group.
Yeah. I forget the name exactly, but yeah, I think it's that
Canadian Railway Modelers.
There you go. That's it.
So that's where you posted it originally.
No, I didn't post anything. Actually, I only posted
somebody else.
to the company page, and then other modelers saw it, and then they shared it all over the place.
Ah, okay.
And I think that post on our company page has like 40 something different shares by now.
Okay, and the company Facebook page you're talking about?
Yeah, the Facebook page is facebook.com/Aurora Miniatures. One word.
All right, I'm going to put in Aurora here. Look at me, Tony, talking and typing at the
same time. I'm impressed.
I know, eh?
What I think is neat about the containers is that the back doors and stuff open, and then they've got detail on the inside. Isn't that cool?
I know.
Yeah, they're also decorated on the inside, so they have like the floor is a different color, and then the walls are a different color.
Wow, that's very cool.
Yeah, I'm seeing that all here now. Yeah, wow, people are going to go nuts for this stuff when you guys. So do you guys have some sort of distribution plan for when you get the stuff to North America?
Yeah, we plan on distributing directly to hobby shops that are located in Canada.
Right.
And I am currently talking to one American hobby distributor.
Okay.
Who will then distribute all of our products. They will distribute to U.S. hobby shops.
Right.
We're trying to get maybe one more U.S. distributor on board.
Okay, yeah.
But, it's all coming along slowly. As I said, I am doing this on my free time as of now.
Right.
So, and I have to pretty much look over everything that's on this side of the planet. So I'm in charge of pretty much everything that's happening on the North American side. So
okay. And
it's not happening as fast as I want to be. And a lot of people are impatient.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much it.
So I'm looking at this one photo now of these containers where the doors open and you can see the inside is a different color than the outside. I mean, people are going to go, and the detail on these things is spectacular. People are going to go nuts for this stuff.
Yeah, and then you can also detach the floor. So if you want to do weathering, you can start by weathering the inside of the container. And if you mess it up, just close the door. Nobody will see it.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
That's a unique idea, and that must be unique to your guys' company, eh? Because I've never heard of that, where you can detach the floor from the container.
Yeah, and then you can model scenes where the container is being unloaded. So you can actually open the doors of the container and then have it sit on the ground or sit on a truck chassis somewhere.
Yeah.
And you can actually have pallets, like HO scale pallets inside the container. Or you can have a forklift that's halfway into the container. Or, I don't know. Yeah,
you can. Yeah, and I mean, spectacular.
It opens up a way to a lot of potential modeling opportunities, which I think some people will find interesting.
So right now, currently, these containers come with a intermodal car that is sold in China.
Yes, that is correct.
So there's a company. There's enough demand in China for somebody to have created and be making these containers and selling them with intermodal cars. Holy mackerel.
Yeah, we've made, I think, a couple thousand of the container and car combo.
Right.
And they are pretty much all gone within the span of less than 1 year.
Yeah, I think you release these in North America and they'll be all gone within the span of maybe an hour. Like, holy crap.
Isn't that something? Yeah.
So are the guys that are the guys at the other end of Aurora Miniatures, is this a full-time gig for them?
For at least, I believe 1 or 2 people, yes. But most of us are still doing this part-time.
Sure, yeah. Okay.
The idea is slowly grow and expand this company to the point that we have to work on it full-time. And if the business is good and if it's viable, then I don't see anything wrong with joining the industry.
Absolutely.
Completely.
Absolutely.
And I think that would be something really amazing, because we are going to be part of model railroading history. It's people are going to remember this moment, and I think that's really, really cool.
It's really, really cool. You're right, Tony. This is pretty cool.
It's kind of mind blowing, yeah.
It is.
Out of left field, and again to see the he showed me the flat car, and you've seen the containers, and if you looked on their Facebook page, you saw the two different diesel locomotives that they make, and they all look great. So again, when somebody says, "Wow, do you think they can really pull this off?" It's like, well, look at the stuff they've already made for China. It's like, so what do you think their North American models will look like? They'll be the same, and it's like, wow, those are great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at these, another picture of the containers, and it's I can never say it, Maersk containers, the gray ones. They look like 20-footers. Do they make some 20-footers too, Ben?
Yeah, we also have a variant where it's two 20-foot containers on top of the flat car.
Yeah.
And I believe that 20-foot container is a regular height container.
There's just all kinds of containers here. Man.
Yep.
So
we also have a 45-foot version that's in tooling right now, actually. So we'll have samples of that soon.
So anybody that's looking to figure this out, you go to Aurora Miniatures on Facebook. All I typed in was Aurora Miniatures, and it came up. There's a picture here that was posted in September 1st of a whole bunch of the different. There's like 1, 2, 3. There's 8 different containers here, and they're all like you say, the doors are open or closed, and all different shapes and sizes and colors. And so am I getting this straight then? This is a company that right now is exclusively selling in China.
For the time being, yes.
And now they're going to expand from China. So they're already making this product. They're selling it in China. They've sold a bunch of them. They've made a bunch. They've sold a bunch. And now they're going to attack the North American market.
Yeah, pretty much. And I am taking the lead because, I don't know. Someone has to do it.
That's right. Someone has to.
I know that's your interest is in like Canadian and contemporary stuff, but the Draper Taper SD60F, if you can give us a little info for folks. I think when you say Draper Taper, everybody thinks that's one of the cowl body 6-axle units, but I assume it forward and backward. Kind of give us a little background on what that prototype is and why it was important, or has it not been made before? Why'd you set that as your goal of, hey, let's make this?
Yeah, so let me talk about the prototype of the first North American locomotive that we're making. It's the General Motors Diesel Division model SD60F. Most rail fans call this by Draper Taper because right behind the cab of the locomotive, there is a angled section that digs into the sides of the body of the locomotive, and it's called a Draper Taper because the guy who designed this at CN, I believe, his name was William Draper, and that name just stuck. The main reason that we chose this model as our first North American model is that we are really confident about making a all Canadian HO scale locomotive. Because over the last 15 or so years, the Canadian HO scale model market has really, expanded as well. There have been manufacturers that are paying more and more attention into bringing out locomotives and also freight cars to a lesser extent that are specific to Canada. Back in the day, we only had locomotives that were American locomotives, and they were just painted in a Canadian paint scheme, and that was it. But now we have, there's been other manufacturers in the past. They've brought out Canadian specific prototype locomotives, and we believe we should follow through. We should come out with a product that has never been made in ready-to-run plastic, that is unique, and then we're going to load it up with awesome new features that people in North America have never seen before. And I think for those reasons, this project will be a great success. And I managed to convince all my business partners, and they gave me the green light almost over a year ago. And then a year later, our CAD design is done. Our artwork is almost finished. And the model itself, the tooling is being cut as we speak.
And as you say, state of the art, I'm looking on your website, you've got LED lighting, including ground lights, step lights, the walkway lights. So we're not just talking headlights, ditch lights, number boards. Stay alive capacitor to get across dirty track for a dual flywheel equipped drive. And then tell us about everybody, always, it's always a hotly contested. You're going to do digital command control or DCC, but tell us what sound system or what you've selected for the audio digital electronic stuff.
Yeah, so I am a huge ESU fan. Since 2016, I have been using ESU loc sound decoders exclusively for my own locomotives, the models that I have myself. And also I have done DCC installs for my friends and fellow members at my club using loc sound decoders. I just love the ability to customize the sound. So ESU has this hardware, it's called the loc programmer. And it's basically a programming unit that you can connect to your computer. And then you can download all sorts of different sound updates. And you can make your own custom sounds and then put them into your locomotive. And I think that is the best part about the ESU decoders. And that's why I have selected it. I want ESU decoders in our products so that everyone can enjoy them.
And you've already kind of got your prices set out there. So when do you think the first one of these might actually arrive on the North American shores?
So the SD60F, we plan to have it by summer of next year.
Okay.
Around July to August 2021. As long as we don't run into anything substantial that sets us back.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you're going to have... Go ahead.
Yeah, anything can really happen because we're still pretty early in the project. We're still doing the tooling, and then we don't have our first samples yet. So we still need to get our first samples and then make any corrections, and make sure everything is okay. And then we have to get the orders in, and then we can allocate a time slot for production. So that's going to take at least, I want to say, half a year, or if not more.
And that's realistic. That sounds like, anybody else's timeline for projects. So yeah, coming along.
Yeah, we hope to have the first injection molded sample out by January of next year. So in about 2 months' time, 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And this was built in the late 80s, and it's Canadian National exclusively?
It was built in 1989. The batch that we are doing is the late production version. Okay. So it was built from March 1989 to, I believe, September. But I could be wrong.
And so as far as that first run, I mean, we're talking CN, but CN's gone through changes in that's almost 30 years ago or so. So I guess there's like that CN North America look, or the CN with the website address on the side. So I assume you probably get a couple of liveries out of the CN road name, right?
Yeah, out of the 60 locomotives in this class, we found 2 of them have been repainted, or they were in a different paint scheme. So 58 of them were in the standard Sergeant Stripes that a lot of people are familiar with. And then there's 2 numbers in particular. The first one is 5537. That was painted in the CN North America scheme. So there's a North American map on the side of the locomotive. And the other one is 5560, which was repainted into the website scheme. So there is the cn.ca website that's under the logo on the side of the locomotive. And we have done a separate artwork for both of those. So they are exactly to the same look as the prototype were. And they are different from for example, 5560 has a slightly different font for the road number. And we have done that. And then the size of the white stripe on the side is also different.
How about that, Lionel? Are you kind of getting the fact that this guy is dotting the I's and crossing the T's?
Know, exactly.
I mean, you try to ask some of these questions thinking he's going to we hadn't thought about that, or, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
He's got an answer. I mean, boom, boom, boom. Okay, my question, and I know he's going to tell me no. Can I get red and silver Santa Fe with chrome plating?
For the time being, no.
All right. Okay. Well, there you go. There's my first strikeout, Lionel.
Do you think you guys will eventually offer it in North American paint schemes?
We try to stick to prototypical paint schemes for the time being, but if enough hobbyists want to have fantasy paint schemes, I don't see a problem. If there's enough demand, we are willing to satisfy demand. That's the entire philosophy of this company. This company was founded by people who love model trains. They were all model train enthusiasts, before they got involved in the industry. And I believe that's really important, is that you want to develop and manufacture products that you would like to have as a modeler. If you have that mindset, you are bound to be very successful. That's my opinion.
And that goes back to, we were talking in cliches. Find something you're good at or you like and pursue that, and you'll be successful. And that's some version of that old saying. And I agree. I think when I really see hobby companies that have got it together, it always seems like there's people involved in it that own it, that work for it, that it's their thing. That's what, it's like, well, if they won the lottery, this is what they'd be doing, is that they'd be playing with trains. So there you go. I mean, yeah, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, also those people have to have business acumen, and I mean,
oh, true, yeah. Just because you like to drink doesn't mean you can be a bartender.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is, I mean, I'm still kind of stuck back at. So let me get this straight. There's some guys in China that decided they wanted to make containers, and they sell them on, with the flat cars, and they sell them as sets, and they sell them in China. The only place they've ever made them and sold them is in China, and they haven't even got here yet. It's like,
nope.
Like, wow. It's like I think people have a tendency to think that most model train companies exist only in North America, and yet, okay, so model railroading is only really, taken hold in the last 20 years in China, but that just kind of goes to my, my constant,
Yeah, it has come a long way in the past 20 years, and it's still going. That's the amazing part.
Yeah. And is it HO? I mean, you guys, looks like everything you're doing is HO, but like here in the US, I always hear figures of about 7 out of 10 guys are probably HO modelers, and then the others is China basically HO, or?
I would say in China about 90% of modelers are HO.
Wow.
But N-scale is taking ground. Because in recent years, there's been a lot of manufacturers doing N-scale models as well. And also you have influence from Japan. Right. A lot of Japanese models in N-scale are available for very reasonable prices. And if you are short on space, N-scale is also very viable.
And I understand model railroading is pretty big in Japan as far as N-scale goes.
Oh, yeah, it is huge in Japan. They have a really good ecosystem. Yeah.
What's the ecosystem got to do with model railroading? Tony, help me out.
Yeah, they have a really good fan base.
Yes, yeah.
that are loyal.
Yeah.
Whatever the manufacturers make, they buy them.
And it's interesting how, that Japan is big on N-scale. It's kind of like in Europe, I think, is it model cars are huge, and like 1/43rd or some of the other scales. That's why you see so many. I mean, here you look at it and you think, man, if you're an S-scale modeler, you're so lucky when it comes to vehicles. And it's like, well, yeah, but that's because that's a huge market in Europe, and that's why so many 1/43rd cars get made. But so it's kind of interesting how, whereas here, yeah, there's collectors, but I don't think it's like it is over there for vehicle models.
So
intriguing.
How did you think, Ben, that you got interested in the electronic side of model railroading?
And how'd you learn it? That's the other part of that.
Yeah,
I've been into electronics before I got really seriously involved in electronics and model trains.
Right.
So I used to do a lot of electronics repair, and then I do a lot of hobbyists, tinkering stuff as well. So I was able to apply my previous knowledge into, say, installing a decoder into an HO scale locomotive.
Right.
That was really easy for me because a lot of the basic concepts I already knew.
Sure.
And then I already knew how to solder, so it was pretty much just a matter of learning the specifics. What is a decoder CV?
Yeah.
And then stuff like that. The specific model train stuff you have to learn, but and it was pretty easy to grasp.
Okay, and So is this what do you do for a living? Is this what you're into, electronics or something, or what do you do for a living, if you don't mind me asking?
I work for electronics manufacturer here in the Toronto area, and we basically do a lot of industrial computers, industrial displays, marine equipment, sometimes military contracts as well.
Okay. And let's make sure, Tony, everybody understands this was you found Ben, not me. Just because Ben lives 40 miles down the road from me doesn't mean I don't.
Yeah. Where are you at on this, Lionel? That here I am in Missouri, and I dig up what's probably one of the hobby scoops of the year, and this kid's in your backyard. Can you explain that to me? I mean, no flies on you.
Yeah. Well, I was busy sweeping out the garage.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, Ben. So, for as far as let's find out some more about your particular hobby interest. So, do you have a layout or anything like that?
I don't have a layout at the moment, but I am a member of one of the local model train clubs here in the Toronto area.
And that that wouldn't happen to be the Scarborough Model Railroad Club, would it?
That is the one and only.
Okay, and I think one of the people that work at Rapido is the president of that club or something, isn't he? Or did what?
Yes, Mohan George is the president of the club.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so, what is the thing that's most exciting for you right now as far as electronics in the hobby?
I haven't been doing much on my personal models. I think the last thing I did was I fitted a Loc Sound 5 decoder into one of my steam locomotives.
Okay.
And then I programmed it to sing a lullaby when I press function 26. It's actually really hilarious.
So you got some steam locomotives, so you're not just modern diesels? You have interest in steam locomotives?
My interest with trains spans multiple continents across multiple eras. So we can spend a whole hour talking about the stuff that I have, and we probably won't get into that because it's just too much. We can talk about the SD60F in particular. So people might ask, why are you making the SD60F?
Okay.
Why are you doing the Draper Taper?
Hang on a minute. And then I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
So why are you doing the SD60F?
That's a good question.
That's a very good question, Tony.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for asking that, because I hadn't thought of it, and obviously Ben hadn't thought of it either. So Ben, let's cut through all of this here. And why are you making this?
Biggest reason that we're making this locomotive is because I want it.
And that is,
I know, right?
I got to tell you though, that's the thing. It's like that's how some of that stuff gets done. I want to do that. So, like at White River, I was Model Railroad News, but in my collecting stuff and like in old trains, it's like I'd like to have a collector magazine. And it's like, well, let me just pitch this out here and see what everybody thinks. And it starts its 5th year next year. And again, it's like, why does it exist? Well, I wanted one. I thought, wouldn't that be neat if there was a magazine that was just that? So no, I think that's awesome. That's a great reason.
Yeah. So when I was growing up, my parents made me learn how to play golf. So by the time
they made you learn how to play golf.
Yeah, that's the thing with strict parents. You must learn an instrument. You must learn a sport.
So where did you play golf?
I played golf at this golf course in Markham, just north of Toronto.
It's called Angus Glen?
It's called Remington Parkview. And the beauty of that golf course is the Canadian National Railway, CN York sub, cuts through the golf course. So you could be playing your game, and then after a few holes, you have to cross a grade crossing that's inside the golf course.
I think I've played that golf course.
Yeah, and then sometimes you have a lot of trains that are leaving Macmillan Yard or going into Macmillan Yard.
Yeah.
And that's where, this was like in 2005, 2006, I would see the SD60Fs and also the SD50Fs. They would run across the York sub all the time, and I would see them. And I remember so well that Draper Taper feature because it was different from all the other locomotives.
So
that just stuck with me for the longest time.
What is it about the F that separates it from just the basic SD60?
So the regular SD60 has the walkway on the exterior of the locomotive.
Okay.
And then the SD60F, it has a full width body, but the catch is behind the cab is a narrow section.
Yeah.
So it's not a full width. It's not full width across the side.
Yeah, because I see that the SD60 was, it was owned by the Sioux Line and Southern Pacific and CSX and things like that. So the F that's just unique to Canadian National?
It is only Canadian National that bought them. Yeah.
Huh, I wonder why that.
Canadian National also bought the SD50F, which looks very similar to the SD60F, but there are minor differences if you look closely.
Right.
And Canadian Pacific, they bought the SD40-2F, which an HO scale model already exists.
So would the F stand for full body, possibly?
I guess I'm not too sure actually.
That's a good question for you to find out.
Yeah, it is.
See that, Tony? I just came up with a unique question. I think I stumped the band.
Well, maybe half credit. Because he did know. That's why, yeah. It's F for full body, yeah.
Well, he said maybe.
Well, okay, yeah. We'll give you credit on that.
That'll send him off now. I bet you any money now he'll go off and try to figure that out. So while you're golfing, what did you get your handicap down to?
Oh, I was terrible. That's why I haven't. I stopped playing after grade 9 because our golf club teacher, the teacher that runs the golf club,
right?
I believe he left the school, and then after that we didn't really have a golf club, and I didn't feel like going back to play by myself.
Right, and so Remington, that golf course isn't very far from Angus Glen Golf Course.
Yeah, I believe it's across the street.
Exactly. And do you know who the general manager of the Angus Glen Golf Course is?
No, I don't.
Oh, I should know this because I think I do know this.
Okay, go for it, Tony. You think you should?
Oh, no, I'm drawing a blank, but yeah, I know. This has come up before.
Yeah.
But go ahead, yeah.
It's my niece, Lori.
That's right.
Wow.
So see, we could have a Modeler's Life golf tournament, have him give a prize away of one of these XD60Fs. You can play for our team, Lionel. I mean, you're not much of a golfer, but it sounds like this guy hasn't played in years.
I haven't played in over 12 years.
There you go. I think we've just taken home the grand prize of a new locomotive at this golf tournament that we need to have.
That'll be presented to us by my niece, Lori, who works there, who's the general manager of the whole place.
Oh, boy, I know the whole thing's starting to sound a little shady now.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not.
Okay, Ben, we got to find out more about your personal hobby because you said it would take over an hour to tell us. Well, it just so happens we have time to ask you questions and find out about because this is pretty cool. This whole Aurora Miniatures thing is pretty cool. So how are you going to keep people updated about when this comes out and what the progress is and when they're going to be able to buy? When do you think people are going to be able to buy the containers?
The containers, we're planning a new run. I don't know when the production slot will be. But once we determine the production slot, it's probably going to take, around a month for production to be completed. And then we would have to ship the containers over to North America, which probably takes like another month.
So that's
maybe 2. I don't know.
That's going to be a whole new experience.
But the idea is that we will have the containers on the market at approximately the same time as the SD60F locomotives so that, people can buy the containers as well because these locomotives, they also pull a lot of intermodal trains. So you would see like 40-foot containers on these trains, on the wall car or a stack car.
Okay. So would we consider the SD60 to be a second generation or a third generation? I'm thinking...
I think we would call it third generation.
Okay, I was going to guess the end of the second generation.
I think it would. Isn't it been, with 710 prime mover kind of clicks you over to the third?
It has a 16-cylinder 710 G3A, I believe.
Okay, so that's kind of the clincher, the prime mover.
Yeah, they are very distinctive because they make this really high-pitched whining sound.
Kind of like Tony when he's...
I was going to say, not unlike this podcast on a lot of evenings when I have a hard time tuning it in from Toronto all the way down here in Missouri, but then I get it and the dog starts howling and the neighbors are calling. It's like, well, I'll listen another time, and I turn it off. But
yeah, it's best on a cool, clear night in the fall when you can pick up the frequency.
Yeah.
So okay, so all right, so you haven't done, you say you haven't done much of your own modeling, but have you been installing decoders for other people, or you just kind of been away from the hobby a bit, or you've been busy working on this, or where are you at?
Yeah, I've been busy working on the Aurora Miniature stuff, but before that, I was doing decoder installations for myself and also my friends across HO scale and N scale.
Right.
The N scale installations are pretty basic.
Okay. And so what are you doing right now? Like, as far as you're busy with the Aurora Miniature stuff, like what is it you're doing right now? Is it just mostly you're working on the drawings and kind of going over those and making sure they're right, or?
I'm working on the administration side of things, so we are getting Canadian hobby shops on board as dealers.
Okay.
So I'm just working on taking care of that paperwork. So we're going to have a dealer application form that we're going to send out. I already have, I don't even know how many dealers have talked to me already over the past weekend. But we're going to send out the application forms to the dealers. And then once they become a dealer with us, and they can start taking pre-orders from their customers, because a lot of this is the customers asking the dealers, hey, when can I buy this? Well, when can I order this? I want it. So I'm kind of behind on that because I've been busy, taking care of the manufacturing side of the project. So I'm working on the administration side right now. So for those of you, when is this podcast going to be aired?
Well, it'll probably be aired around the end of February, but I mean, in this particular case, because you're a favorite of Tony's, I can air it some other time if you have a particular time when you would like it aired.
Well, the thing is, if it's aired later, by the time the people listen to it, we're probably much further ahead,
right,
in the project.
Sure.
And then, yeah, sure. I don't really care. It's not really that important, but the project is happening and it is progressing pretty fast. So if it's in 2 months' time or more, we're going to have working samples of this locomotive that you will be able to see on our Facebook page. And then I also made a YouTube page for the business. I have a personal YouTube channel as well.
Right.
It's called the DBRX, Drunk Bee Model Railroad. That's a channel. Yeah, let me explain.
Yeah, I was going to say backup. Whoa.
Yeah. Let's explain this. Yeah.
The name Drunk Bee was christened by one of my business partners at Aurora. He's a very funny guy, but you won't understand any of his jokes because they're all in Mandarin Chinese. But it is it's a nickname that he gave me, and it pretty much stuck. Because when I made the YouTube channel, I didn't know what to call it.
Right.
It has nothing to do with being drunk or bees.
Yeah, you keep telling yourself that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then on my personal YouTube channel, I have a lot of digital command control related tutorials. So there is a full 3-part tutorial on how to install lights and sounds in HO scale Bombardier cab car. That's one of my most viewed videos.
Oh yeah,
where I start from beginning to end. So the cab car doesn't have any provision to install a decoder, and then I install a sound decoder. And then you have working headlights, working ditch lights, and then working markers. And then I also made a custom sound so that you can have this is the Go Transit cab car.
Right.
So it has the door chime, the three ping door chime that's found on the Go Transit cars. And then there's also the announcement from the customer service agent. Stand clear of the doors, please. Doors are now closing. And then I plan to get a sequential stop announcement as well into that car. So it will have, all the stations on the Go Transit Lakeshore East line in order. So, when you press a certain function button, let's say function 7, it will play, next stop is Danforth. And then when you press it again, it will say now arriving at Danforth. And then when you press it again, it will say whatever the next stop is. Next stop is Scarborough. And then when you press it for the 4th time, it say now arriving at Scarborough. The problem is I haven't gotten a chance to go out and then record the public announcement on the real trains.
Right.
So I might just end up doing the recording myself, and then just distort the sound a little bit so it doesn't sound like me.
We will release this before Christmas. How about that?
Okay, that's good.
And
so by Christmas time, we will be able to show our customers, our potential customers, a high quality 3D print of the SD60F shell.
Right.
And then by that time, we should also have the announcement for the North American run of the containers. That's the plan.
So we'll release this on the free channel, because we have 2 channels. I'm sure, Ben, that you've listened to all the podcasts and some of them twice.
Yeah, I've listened to a whole bunch. I've known your work ever since I got seriously involved in the hobby. I think this was 2017.
Oh.
And
yeah,
Ben did that check for $500 that I sent you, because I know you. When I said, "Would you be on a Modeler's Life?" He said, "Oh yeah, no, I know that Lionel Strang guy. Did you get that check in the FedEx overnight envelope? Okay, okay. I guess you did, because you're here tonight. So anyway, we can talk about that later.
Yeah. So you know what we'll do? We'll put this on free channel so everybody can hear it, and then we'll talk to Ben again, like around the end of January or something. And that way he can do an update for us and keep us up to date on everything that's going. Now, when Ben was talking about Go Transit and Danforth and all the different stations, he's talking about Go Transit is the transit system. I think our buddy, Uncle Dave Abel, he said Go Transit's like number 5 in North America for the size of transit companies. And so that's the Southern Ontario, Toronto area transit company. What do you call that? What do you call it? Like New Jersey Transit, Go Transit, Metro?
Commuter rail.
Commuter rail, that's it. And so it's the commuter rail for around the Toronto area, and then the different stops was in the Toronto area. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And I found those videos here. They're 3 years old, but they're still very popular.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Look at this. What a find you've done.
Isn't that neat? Yeah, and I'm going to have in January's Model Railroad News, it'll be out in early December. So it'll be out by the time the podcast airs. I'm going to have some pictures for both the containers and some samples of the Chinese locomotives, as well as info on the SD40F. So you get to see all that
SD60F.
Oh, I'm sorry, SD60F. Yes, that you'll have that stuff in the magazine, and we'll have it on modelrailroadnews.com as well.
Did you know, Tony, that the SD60F was only unique to Canadian National?
I did know that, yeah.
Hmm.
So again, that's why I can't. If I'm going to have a Santa Fe one or something, I guess I'll have to paint it. I'll get Shane or somebody to paint one for me.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I think this is pretty cool. I think we've covered a lot of ground. And do we have anything else we want to talk about? I'm excited to see these containers. I want you to get these containers over here ASAP. People are going to go nuts for these containers.
They are sharp. Yeah. They really look good, yeah.
Yeah, we will definitely work on it. We will publish the announcement when it's ready. So it will have a list of all the available paint schemes and also the numbers. For the North American market, we will most likely sell them 3 containers to a box.
Right.
So the model will come in, the containers will come in a very nice plastic tray in a box that you can open and close repeatedly over and over. This way that you can safely store them when you are not using them. I know a lot of manufacturers, they use a plastic tray that's glued onto the paper on the cardboard.
Right.
And once you rip that open, you can't put it back. So that's something that we want to do. We want to make really, really nice packaging that safely stores the models.
That, I'm telling you, that's my modeling expertise right there, is leaving stuff in the box. So I cannot tell you the conundrum I have when they put something on a card like that, because I want to look at it, but then I don't want to open it, but then I want to look at it. So then I end up buying, maybe that's how they're getting me. Then I buy 2 of them so that I can open one and keep one that I haven't opened. Oh, I see this now. It's a plot against me. Okay, never mind.
Do you have a particular car that these containers will fit in? Like, will they fit in the Walthers well cars, or do you have a particular well car that these containers will fit in?
So the containers, as they are made, they do not have the studs at the bottom. The reason is being that this container is designed pretty much to the shape of the prototype containers. So on the prototype containers, there is a locking piece that is a separate part that stacks the containers. And what we have done is we have recreated this container lock in HO scale. So what you can do is you can take this part. There will be 4 of them per container. You can attach them to the bottom of the container. And then you can stack that container on top of another container or inside any North American intermodal rolling stock.
I saw that piece, and I wondered what that piece was.
There should be photos of the stacking mechanism on our website.
Yeah, I see it. I'm looking at it right now.
Yep.
So this is a separate piece that people can put on so that they can stack the containers.
Yeah, and this is so that because a lot of the rolling stock that's sold in China, they have the pins built onto the car, whereas in North America they have the pins built onto the container. So that's where we have to adjust to make sure that this container is compatible with Chinese rolling stock, with European rolling stock, and also with North American rolling stock. So if you want to have a layout that's half in China and half, in the United States, you can do that. You can model how the container travels from one train on one side of the planet, and then it goes on the ship, and it comes off the ship onto the train on the other side of the planet. I think you will require a lot of space for that. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure someone will try to do it at one point.
Oh yeah.
That's something that would be really cool.
That would be
a layout that spans across 2 or more regions. With a body of water in between. I think that would be really cool.
Tony, you and I need to take a road trip to Germany to see that layout in what's it called?
Miniature Wonderland?
No,
in Hamburg.
Yeah, the Miniature Wonderland in Hamburg. You need to go there.
Oh, that's a huge layout.
Yeah, you need to go there, Ben. Hey, Ben, do you know anything about these guys in Toronto that are building a little Canada or Canada's open homeland or something in miniature?
Yeah, I've heard about them.
All right. So are you going to sell these at Credit Valley Railroad?
Yeah, I'm actually talking to Bob Scott.
Okay.
Or he reached out to me rather, so we will be discussing the details.
Okay. Ben, I got a question for you as a 28-year-old.
Yeah.
This is $1 million question. I ask this question to lots of people. You're an ideal person. You're going to be on this show again, Ben. Are you prepared for that?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think at the end of January we need to talk to Ben again. That'd be fun. Is this hobby growing, dying, shrinking? What's it doing?
Oh, I think it's definitely growing because there's people like me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
I meet a lot of young people who are, in the days of computer games and video games,
Yeah.
There's a lot of young people that are still into, model trains or, model buses.
Yeah.
Or other forms of modeling. And I think the hobby's not going to go away. The hobby's going to be around for a very long time.
It's growing. It's growing. It's exploding.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question, a little off topic, but the same topic. So you're 28. Tony has a guy working for him in the magazine that's like 22, 23. There's lots of people, Gordy Robinson in Scotland, he's 33. There's people all over the place. Our friend George Taylor, the boy wonder, he's 28. There's guys all over the place your age. And is it that you guys are finding each other pretty easily out on the internet and the social media? Is that why? Because I think you guys are going to make the hobby explode. I really do.
I believe the power of social media is changing the way that we, as hobbyists, interact, and I believe it's a very good way. It's changing, and some people are resisting the change, but it's going to change whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
and I believe it's going to change for the good.
Yeah,
I believe it already changed for the good.
I agree. I think
the power of social media allows me to present you the SD60F. Because if it's not for social media, those people would have never found me. They would have never decided to make a locomotive for the North American market. And you wouldn't see SD60F announcement today. That's simple as that. That's the power of social media.
It is.
And I believe that's amazing.
It is. It is amazing. Do you mind if I ask you, and don't answer the question if you don't want, do you guys have any idea how many of these locomotives you're going to produce?
We are going to wait for the orders to come in.
Okay.
And then we will probably produce either to the order, or we're gonna make a little bit extra just in case some people are hesitant about ordering. I know because we are. This is our first North American product, so I can understand if people don't want to order them. But we will make extras in case people decide later on.
Okay.
And yeah.
Do you know who Rob Arsenault of weathermytrains.com is?
Yes, I know him. He is the first person to talk to me about the SD60F.
Well, now that's what I got to do, Tony. I got to get Ben and Rob on at the same time.
Yeah, shout out to Rob. Rob is a very cool guy. Check out his work; it's amazing. I actually have one of his locomotives that he weathered. It's a Illinois Central SD70.
Okay,
and it's very light weathering. I would say light to medium, but it's so nicely done. Like I would never be able to do that.
What are you doing with an Illinois Central locomotive?
They're part of CN.
CN, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they run on the CN network now.
All right, okay.
The CN bought them out, I think in the early 2000s or the late 90s. I don't remember which year it was, but it was in the last a little bit. Yeah, so Tony, you would see Illinois Central locomotives on the CN main lines. They run through all the time.
Tony, this hobby's going to explode, buddy.
It is. And as I say, we say this a lot. We talk about this. We run into people. But I thought Ben was such a neat example of this all happening and checking all the boxes that it's really exciting. I mean, I think it's a neat locomotive that they're going to do. And just this story behind how it's all coming together it's just fascinating. It's amazing. As he said, this would have never happened without social media.
I know. This is just the coolest thing. I mean, it's the coolest thing to be talking to Ben. And I mean, all right, Tony, let me ask you a question. Do you mind if I ask you a question? Ben, do you mind if I ask Tony a question?
Go ahead.
Okay. Tony, are you taking questions tonight?
Yeah, I think I probably could.
All right. I don't know if I'll have a follow-up. I probably will. So, did you have any idea at all of this Chinese, of model railroading in China?
I knew there were things made for China, that Bachmann's parent Cater does make stuff for the Chinese market, because I've got a Bachmann version of what would kind of be a C36-7 GE that's the Chinese version of that. So I knew there were some things, but I had no idea of the size of the market, if the market was growing, how, not much information. I knew there was one, but yeah, I didn't know it was, in the last 20 years, it's really been coming on. So that's a neat thing to see. And Ben, do you think, are a lot of the people, like, what do they like to model? Are they modeling what they see Chinese railways or North American railways, or both?
I think the majority of modelers in China still like to model what they see. So a lot of Chinese prototypes. But there are a lot of hobbyists in China that are exclusively into North American prototype trains. In particular, the Santa Fe is super popular in China because everyone knows about the train sets that have the war bonnet on them. So it's super popular there. Union Pacific is obviously popular.
What was your first train, Ben?
My first train was a Bachmann train set. It had an F unit, 2 freight cars, and a caboose.
See, there you go, Lionel. That's a classic. I always say these. The December Model Railroad News, we review 6 train sets, and I always say, look for somebody that you think would like a train set, or make a train set as a gift. I love still collecting train sets myself, but you never know, because look at that. This guy's Bachmann train set however many years ago, and look what he's doing today.
That's actually exactly 20 years. So 2000, I was 8, and then I got my first Bachmann train set. Wow. I still have the locomotive and the cars. So the locomotive, actually, I put a decoder in, so it has sound now.
Wow.
But it has gone through 2 motors. but it's still running, and I think I will keep it running for as long as I'm still into the hobby, which I think will be a lifelong hobby for me.
Absolutely,
because in the time that I have progressed through this hobby, I basically made it through the entire spectrum. Basically, you start out with your train set as a kid, and then you expand. You get into more serious modeling. You get into the electronics. You join your local club, and at the very end, you start your own or you join your own manufacturing company. I think very few people get to do that. Very few people get the chance to do that, and I believe it's very fortunate that I am able to sit here today and talk to you about all this, because I think it's a really beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing.
It is. Oh yeah, very much so. Good. Yeah, good label for it. Isn't that? What do you think, Lionel? Now you've had about an hour here to visit with this guy. Did I oversell this, or was I correct? Is this neat or what?
This is I'm speechless at this point, because I'm like, it exemplifies or whatever that word would be, everything that I've been saying about what social media does. He's just laid out how he wouldn't even be working for this company or be involved in the building this locomotive had it not been for social media. So I mean, it's everything that I talk about as far as the hobby expanding and growing. I just don't see anything. This is my first real foray into finding out how big the hobby is in China, which means I think it's big all over the world. I don't think we have any idea how big this hobby is. I mean, like, I could do a podcast every day, never mind a couple of times a week, and still not still have people I haven't talked to. Are you going to sell this container in Europe at all?
No plans for the time being.
Yeah, because you're busy enough trying to sell it in North America.
Yeah, we are really busy with the projects, and then we already have 2 markets on our plate. So, and I don't think we'll have a European. Well, first of all, we don't have anyone in Europe, so it's going to be difficult.
I was just wondering. Just kind of asking.
In the past, a lot of I would call foreign companies would try to bring things to a new market. But the thing is, sometimes they don't understand how the situation in the new market is.
Yeah.
And then they never make it there because they don't really have someone that understands how things work out, because things may work differently in Canada and US compared to they work in China, right? And I understand that because I've lived in Canada for a very long time, since I was a little kid. So I understand. I've been to the hobby shops, in Toronto. I've been to the hobby shops in Montreal and Vancouver. So I know how the consumer prefers, consuming the model trains and also the accessories around here. And it's completely different than how the consumers over on the other side of the world, how they behave. So we will need to adjust the way that we operate in order to meet the demands of the consumers in that specific market. And I think that's where I come in, and that's going to be really a key factor to becoming successful.
So in China, is there hobby stores or hot train stores, or do they order everything online? Or
in China, most of the model trains they order online. Yeah.
Okay.
So because they don't have these physical retail establishments, they just don't exist because everything has just gone online.
Right.
And it's simply faster. The Chinese consumers simply just prefer to click buy on the webpage on the model and then receive it the next afternoon.
Yeah,
that's how they like it. Whereas the consumers here, they really like to go to the hobby store and then look at the locomotives inside the glass cabinet, and then be able to physically see the item before they make a purchase. That I believe is really important for consumers in the United States and Canada, and we are going to respect that by selling our product through various hobby shops.
Right.
And I believe that's very important. That is the key. People need to be able to see the model on display in the store for them to be able to say, "Hey, this looks really cool. I might want it for my layout."
Yeah.
Or this is really cool. What else do they have?
Yeah, or I would take that one step farther. I think online shopping, of course, is becoming more and more prevalent, even in North America. But I think successful online stores like Midwest Model Railroad or TrainLife.com, a lot of them have physical locations as well that people can go and visit on their way around North America, or Credit Valley Railroad, or any Georgia's Trains, of course, and all these places. There's all sorts of places, Lombard's and the Chicago area. There's all kinds of places where people can still go and talk to somebody in real life. Wow. I'm going to ask one question, Tony, and I'm concerned that this is going to be rude.
Well, is it to me or to Ben?
Well, it's to Ben.
Oh, well, then be careful. Now, you can ask me rude questions because I've known you for a long time, but let's be polite.
Yeah, yes, you know how I kind of have a tendency to put my foot in my mouth.
Yeah.
So, Ben, can you speak Mandarin?
Yes, I speak Mandarin. I speak it pretty fluently, and then I have actually went back to China in Guangdong province where they actually make the model trains. So I have been to the factory where they assemble the locomotives and also the freight cars. But this was in 2018 when the majority of their products were still in development. I have been through. Yeah, I've been at the factory, but I don't remember what exactly I saw because it was a long time ago.
So did you go to China specifically to visit the factory when you got associated with these guys?
Yeah, that as well. I went to see my grandmother because she lives in Shenzhen, which is pretty close to where all the model train factories are. It's about like an hour's car trip.
Oh, okay. So is your grandmother's a model railroader too, is she?
No. All the model railroaders in China, the people who are into model trains, I believe are from they are either millennials or what do they call it? Is it Gen Z?
Yeah, Generation X.
Generation X?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all younger people. A lot of the older folks
they're not used to it.
It was not there, right?
Yeah.
For when they were younger, model trains wasn't really a thing. Model trains wasn't really a thing in China until 2000, the early 2000s.
Tony, I think we've just been introduced to something that absolutely backs up what I've been trying to say for the last 6 years. I think Ben just solidified what it is I've been trying to say. People think that this is an old person's hobby, but as he says in China, it's mostly millennials, Generation X, which is people under the age of 40. I think in North America, there is a huge wave of people under the age of 40, millennials, Generation X, that have been introduced to the hobby that never normally would have been introduced before, but it's so easily accessible now to get involved in the hobby that I think there's a huge underlying current of younger people that we're not even aware of.
I agree. No, I agree. As you say, like, George Taylor, Shane Mason, me. I mean, these guys that are, in their 20s, that a lot of us, that's how we're getting into the hobby. So, no, I absolutely agree with you.
Can we at least agree that I come in personality and pretty much in every aspect, I come across as a much younger man.
I've had somebody say that to me not long ago. So, yes, I'll go with that.
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
All right, Ben, you're a pretty cool guy, buddy. I'm looking forward to talking to you again.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me tonight.
And how come you have that really fancy audio setup? Why you got that great mic and everything? What's that all about?
Yeah, this is a Blue Yeti microphone that I use to record audio for my YouTube videos. So I make the DCC and tutorials.
Yeah.
And when I need to explain something, I just talk to the microphone.
Perfect.
And then I put it in the video.
All right, Tony, can you give out our email address?
If you'd like to drop us an electronic mail message, you can do so by going to modelerslife.com, and you can find out everything about the website as well as see our email address, which is a modelerslife What is it? It is a modeler's. I can't believe I just fumbled that.
Yeah,
I fumbled that. Yeah.
The email address is modelers.
That's it. I got too many things going there.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So you can drop us an email at modelerslife@gmail.com. Yeah. There you go. See. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Not on my toes there. I wasn't ready.
Yeah. That's modelers with one L like Plattsburgh.
Yes. Yeah.
Not two L's like Lionel.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. And we have a website, modelerslife.com. If you go there, you're going to see a picture of the moderately agitated mailboy in a particularly agitated state. And you can just click right on his picture, and that will set up the email for you. You won't even need to know the address.
See, that's how I got backwards. Is I started saying the website address, then in my head tripped over the email address trying to say go to the website. Anyway, there you go.
So yeah,
take two. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we modelerslife.com has things, it tells you has the latest episodes on there. It's got pictures of a lot of the crew. It's got all sorts of interesting stuff on there. It tells you about Patreon. You can click on the Patreon link, and then you can have 2 podcasts a week. Every Tuesday we do one, and that's Kaylee Zhang refers to that as the Antics channel. And let's see what else. Oh, and Ron's Trains and Things. There's you click on Ron's Trains and Things. He's our official videographer. The entire video library for modelerslife.com is on Ron's Trains and Things. And if you want a T-shirt, a Modelers Life T-shirt, you can go to Midwest Model Railroad. That's MidwestModelRR.com. And you just go across the navigation bar and click on AML, and boom, there is a wonderful world of AML T-shirts and mugs and hats and hoodies and all sorts of things. And they have 11,000 other items once you're done spending all your money on AML stuff. I think that's just about it. Now, Ben, you have to do the very end of the show, and if you've heard some of the podcasts recently, you should have an idea what you have to do. So we're just gonna throw you in the deep end of the pool and hope that you know what to do at the appropriate time.
I actually have no idea.
Perfect. So play along. Remember, a Modeler's Life podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10. See, he doesn't know.
It doesn't. I'm really sorry. I don't recall this.
Well, that you pick anything that you want.
Oh, okay.
So it could be 6 out of 10 container loader drivers. 6 out of
6 out of 10 engineers, locomotive engineers.
It could be that, but you might want to be a little more imaginative. A high cube dry container washing guys. Anything. Pick the first thing that comes to your head. All right.
Container internal weathers.
Yeah. Are you ready? We'll do it again. So,
okay.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. So remember, a Modeler's Life podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10
internal container weatherers.
Now it's time for the New Jersey Transit Elevator Escalator Report. Take it away, Dave.
Good morning, everybody. Today, number 1 here on the list is Nork Penn Station number 14. That one needs a step chain adjustment. They got to adjust the lower carriage assembly. Nork Penn Station number 8 is back in service. Secaucus 16 was out overnight for a skirt panel reset, but he's back in service too. Somerville eastbound is still out for its DCA test. We had a sump pump problem, so they should be back on that later this week. And Absecon, the lone elevator there, was out overnight. Somebody held the doors open too long, and it's back in service as of this morning.
It's another Lincoln Homer.
I would have gone with magazine editors that don't.
Those guys don't know anything.
No, those guys don't know nothing.
No.